Just recently, I felt God call me into a place of surrender. A place of surrender that looks like stepping off the platform, off the stages, of where man can see you and glorify you. I realized just recently that my worship behind closed doors, the transaction of worship behind closed doors, no longer look like the transaction of worship in front of 300 to 1,000 people. This will all be tried by fire when I stand before him one day. And the best thing for me to do is to step back and get my first love right. Like in Revelation 2, where Jesus says, this one thing I have against you is that you have forsaken your first love. And because you have forsaken your first love, the lampstand that is in your church will be removed. I never want the Holy Spirit to be removed from my life and of the things that I say and do. This dying to self, the surrender, is the place where the Holy Spirit is truly ignited and able to move through your life, through the humility of one's actions. As I came home, I began to worship with my family, and all of a sudden, after 2 times of worshiping together, my oldest boy came to me and he says, "I'm speaking in tongues, Dad. Look, I'm speaking in tongues." And he began to speak this heavenly language. My youngest girl, who's only 3, she came and she was speaking in tongues, spinning around in the room to the worship. And I think it just ignited something in me where I realized this is what it's about. These are my first priority. These are my disciples. And so I began to worship with them more and more. And then we had this Zoom worship where a friend of mine actually said, we can actually go online on Zoom and have a prayer night with people from 50 different countries around the world. We jumped onto Zoom and just did the normal, just did a bit of worship, began to pray, and then we opened it up for all these people to begin praying. The amount of power and presence of the living God that came through my headphones as I'm listening to hundreds of people praying, people from persecuted countries like Myanmar, people from Africa, just lifting up their praise, crying, speaking in tongues. I felt this power and this awe and this presence of God fill the room until I fell on the ground. I was on the ground just hearing this, and I believe this was a life-changing moment for me. All of a sudden, I realized that with Catch the Wave and these things that we've been doing, we're going about it the wrong way. There is a place for the platform, but I realized that we can actually reach a global harvest from our lounge room. We can release prayers globally together from our lounge room. So not only has God brought me back into my family unit, and that is getting strong now in Him, but now we can actually reach the nations from our own lounge room through Zoom. Imagine what Paul and Silas could do with Zoom. Amazing. I want to invite you to this global online prayer, this global online evangelism and harvest that we're about to see take place. This Monday, the 24th, we're going to gather on Zoom. Just check out the harvest on Facebook and you'll see all of the details there. We're going to join together with nations around the world and pray for the harvest. Pray for the harvesters to be sent out. And I believe that as we draw back off the platform into family, into covenant relationship, into covenant first love with God, we're going to see the nations won. I want to leave you with this. For anyone ministering around the world right now, I want to call you into this place of intimacy, into this place of dying. I was speaking to a good friend of mine who is a passionate worshiper, and she says, "Nate, you win the 4 at home and you will win the entire world." That is my goal right now, and this is the time we are in. Join us on the online global harvest.